It's Tuesday night, and you know what that means. Bobcat Breakdown is now live. It's Yale Week in Hamden. See what our analysts have to say about this Friday's clash of Whitney Ave. Will the women's basketball team lose again in conference? We've got a stacked show, and it all starts now. Hello and welcome to Bobcat Breakdown. I'm your host, Aaron Robinson, and here with me is Joe LaGrippo and Will Fowler. Fellas, how are we doing?
Doing well, Aaron. How about you, Will?
Yeah, I feel good, you know, when I got a fresh cut this afternoon, wearing my hockey tie, ready to talk some Quinnipiac athletics.
All right.
I'm loving the cut, Will, loving the cut, man. I know I'm still sick to my stomach over the atrocity that was the Super Bowl this Sunday, so let's talk some hockey. Quinnipiac is currently tied with Yale for second in ECAC hockey, with the game against those Bulldogs this Friday. The Bobcats are 1 point behind first place Cornell with 8 games remaining. So gentlemen, who was the biggest competition to Quinnipiac winning the ECAC hockey title?
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting question because there's really no one team in ECAC hockey that has been overwhelmingly impressive. Every team from top to bottom has one or two flaws in their resume, some embarrassing losses, Quinnipiac included, not separating them. So I ended up choosing the Harvard Crimson. And the reason for that is because I understand they have their weaknesses, but they are one of only 2 teams to beat Quinnipiac at home in regulation. They've shown that they can handle the Bobcats through 60 minutes. They beat them 2-1 a few weeks back. And at home as well. At home is a place where Quinnipiac has played very well all season. And because of the way they're playing so far, we can assume that their playoff series will be at home as well. So the ability to contain the Bobcats at home is so impressive. Also, they're riding a hot streak right now. They've won 5 of their last 6 games, and 2 of those 5 wins include that win against Quinnipiac and a win against then number 9 Clarkson. And one stat that really hopped off the page at me, ECAC hockey play so far, they're scoring almost 40% of their power play opportunities. That number is unheard of, even at the highest levels. And then we talk about the postseason, because that's what this question is centered around, isn't it? In the postseason, that's really when experience and elite talent takes over. And Harvard has both of that. Adam Fox and Riley Walsh, both NHL prospects. They're 2 of the best defensemen in all of ECAC hockey. And their head coach, Ted Donato, he's a great coach, maybe one of the best in ECAC hockey as well. He's been a coach at Harvard since 2004, 3 ECAC hockey championships himself, so he's got his accolades. And then we talk about last year with essentially the same core. Their roster turnover wasn't that serious from last year to this year, and they were a goal away from making the ECAC hockey championship last year. They lost in overtime to Clarkson. So I think their resume is flawed. They're 8-5-2, but they're absolutely a team to watch out for if you're Quinnipiac.
Yeah, I'm going to go a crosstown rival with the Yale Bulldogs. You know, Quinnipiac and Yale are tied right now in the standings. Cornell in first. Earlier in the season, Quinnipiac beat Cornell 5-0 on the road. And I feel as if the Bobcats have Cornell's number. But I have confidence that Quinnipiac is one of the best teams in this league. I mean, it's kind of obvious. But I see Yale as the biggest competitor. Quinnipiac has beaten Harvard 5-3 on the road. They took a loss at home 2-1. Harvard beat Cornell, yes, but I don't know. With them not having played Yale yet, I'll go Yale as their toughest competition.
Right, and I agree with you. I don't see Cornell or Clarkson as those top teams that Quinnipiac has to watch out for, because Quinnipiac has handled both of them pretty soundly. And then you mentioned Yale. It's an interesting case, but they've yet to play Yale all season, so I'm a bit tentative to choose them. But maybe after this weekend we'll see. Maybe they will end up being the toughest competition.
All right, we'll see.
Yeah, guys, this weekend showdown with Yale will definitely be important to the Bobcats' Cleary Cup chances. Kyle Levasseur has all you need to know about this historic rivalry.
Aaron, thank you. The Yale Bulldogs versus the Quinnipiac Bobcats. The matchup has plenty of names and is always a must-see event. You can call it the Battle of Whitney Avenue since the schools are just 8 miles down the road from each other. Call it the Heroes Hat Game to honor those who lost their lives on 9/11. Or you can simply call it the Yale Game. Either way, year in and year out, this men's ice hockey matchup is always the most anticipated game for Quinnipiac fans. This year, student tickets sold out in just 10 seconds after they became available. So whether you're one of the lucky students that will be at the game or you're following at home on Q30 Sports coverage, here are the top storylines you need to know before the game. First, despite Quinnipiac joining Yale's Conference of ECAC Hockey in 2005, Quinnipiac and Yale's rivalry came to a boil in 2013. The Bobcats defeated the Bulldogs 3 times that year, were the #1 team in the country, and advanced to the national championship. The Bulldogs, on the other hand, barely squeaked into the playoffs, but also made it all the way to the championship. Yale won 4-0, winning its first and only national championship. Quinnipiac still is searching for its first. Following the game, Quinnipiac beat or tied Yale 11 straight times before snapping its streak last regular season. The Bobcats made up for it in the postseason, sweeping Yale in a best-of-3 series. That takes care of the past. Let's move on to the present. On a national scene, Quinnipiac has had much more success this season and is currently ranked 4th in the country. Yale is just outside the nation's top 20 and may have to win the ECAC hockey playoffs in order to earn a spot in the NCAA playoffs. While there's a major difference on the national ranking scene, there's no difference in the conference standings. Quinnipiac and Yale are tied for 2nd in ECAC hockey, making this Friday's game crucial. So, finally, let's take a look into the future and see what we can expect for the game.
I think it's a typical Yale-Quinnipiac game. It's going to be high-paced. Both teams are going to be, high energy and excited to play in the game. Fans will be great.
I expect it to be crazy. I know last year we played them during Thanksgiving break at home, which, from what the older guys have said, it wasn't like the atmosphere it's usually been. And, to see on social media it was sold out in 10 seconds student-wise, it's kind of crazy.
They're always hard-fought games, and it's just really enjoyable because you can feel the anticipation, you can feel the excitement about it, and then that atmosphere, there's nothing like it.
There will definitely be a host of talented players on the ice this Friday, but who will make the biggest difference for their respective teams? Let's start with Quinnipiac. Guys?
Sure. So actually for Quinnipiac, I haven't pointed out a single player at all. In fact, I'm focusing on a group, and that's just their leadership as a whole. I don't think I'd be going out on a limb to say that Rand Peggold and Chase Prisky are probably the best head coach-captain duo in ECAC hockey, if not the entire country. What they've been able to do with this roster is absolutely incredible. And this fits the definition of a trap game, doesn't it? If you take Quinnipiac and Yale out of it, this is the definition of a trap game. This is a great team going against a statistically inferior opponent. That's what I was trying to say. And you know that Yale is going to give you your best game. And then, as if that wasn't enough, this is QU and Yale. Emotions are going to be flying from puck drop until the final whistle, and honestly probably even a little bit after that. So if Rand Peggold and Chase Prisky can establish a tempo, set an example, treat it as just another game, now more than ever is when that needs to happen. They've played a bunch of huge games in the past, UMass, which we'll talk about later. They've played 11 or 12 not conference games already. This game, now more than ever, they need to establish a tempo, stay level-headed, and the rest of the team will follow suit. And if they can do that, there's no reason they can't beat the Bulldogs on Friday.
Yeah, I'm going to take a similar path as you. I'm not going to pick a specific player. I'm going to go and say Quinnipiac has to stay out of the penalty box and play fundamental hockey. They've had 111 penalties this year. Yale has had 81. You never want to play a man down. Just play a clean game and, stay out of the box. And that's their key to the game.
Good take, guys. What about for Yale?
For Yale, I think the obvious answer is Joe Snively, right? He's their go-to guy. He's got almost twice as many points as anybody else in that roster. I think he's the easy answer for this one, but we also have to realize QU this season, when going against other teams' top scorers, they've allowed 16 points to other teams' top scorers in 26 games. They shut down opposing teams' best players. That's what they do. They'll take out your best guy and make everybody else beat you. And so that's why I'm looking at the secondary scorers. I'm looking at guys like Robbie DeMontis, Justin Pearson, two guys who have had their impacts but aren't in the spotlight like Joe Snively is. They both have 14 points each. The big thing is QU, when they go against opposing teams' top scorers, when that top scorer records a point, when they record a goal or an assist, QU is 7-5-1. When the opposing top scorer doesn't record a point, QU is 13-0. So for Yale, it's going to be Joe Snively to get involved. But if QU takes him away, like we should expect him to, that's what they've been doing all season, those secondary players need to be able to score and fill in that gap.
I know you said he's the obvious one, but I'm going to go with Joe Snively. He has 13 goals, 14 assists, 27 points total. He puts pressure on the goalies, puts pressure on defense. He's your big playmaker guy. The offense runs through Joe Snively. He had 3 goals and 1 assist against Princeton. Very impressive, even though Princeton might be at the bottom of the standings. Still, a hat trick is a hat trick, right? You can compare him to Odin Tufto of Quinnipiac. They both have 13 goals, both big-time playmakers. So Joe Snively is the key to my game.
Yeah, this game is definitely going to be massive this Friday, guys. So Quinnipiac has already beaten the likes of UMass, BU, Boston College. But the Battle of Whitney Village, as we know, always holds a little extra weight around here in Hamden. So fellas, if Quinnipiac wins, will this be their biggest win to date?
You want to take this one?
Yeah, I'll take it. I'm going to say no. It'll be a very big win, obviously. But I'm going to go their biggest win was against number 1 UMass. The crowd showed out. Everybody was so hyped for that game. It also could be used as a momentum booster, right? Quinnipiac shows they could roll with the big dogs. They could play with the number 1 seed. They scored 45 seconds into the game and shut out the number 1 team in the country. So I'm going to go with UMass as the biggest game of the year.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Forget about wins, losses, opponents, all of that, results. When the schedule was released back in August, what was the biggest game on Quinnipiac's schedule?
Yale.
So if you have your biggest game and you win that, is that not your biggest win? I think it's absolutely, if Quinnipiac beats Yale this weekend, it's absolutely their biggest win. I think we're towing a fine line here between a big win and an impressive win. UMass is absolutely an impressive win. That's by far the most impressive win of the year. As you said, they were number 1 coming into the game. A goal wide up on Giovanni 42 seconds into the game and a 4-0 shutout. What's better than that against the best team in the country? But in my opinion, a big win is one that benefits you in more ways than one. So for UMass, that UMass win, rather, it was big because you're getting a win against a top-tier opponent. But that was it. It was a non-conference game. There was no weight carried with it. It was early in November, December. Hypothetically, if they were to beat Yale on Friday, that's a quality win against a good opponent. That's 2 points in the conference with an opponent who you're tied with at the moment, and that's a rivalry game win. I think if QU beats Yale, it's absolutely their biggest win. Maybe not necessarily the most impressive win, but that's where I think the difference is.
All right.
All right, guys, that was a lot of chitter-chatter, but now let's give the people what they want to hear. Tell me who will win this game. Joe, you start us off.
I got Quinnipiac here, They're very aggressive. They're a great team. They're home. That's most important. So I'm going to pick Quinnipiac in this game.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. When you take names out of it, Quinnipiac and Yale, and you look at these two, the rosters and the stats and the way they play, I think Quinnipiac is pretty clearly the better team here, but I don't think it's going to be a blow-up by any stretch of the imagination. Yale is going to bring their best game. I'm expecting a close game towards the end of the third period, a 3-2 Quinnipiac win.
All right.
All right, guys. Unfortunately, we have to take our first commercial break, but don't you dare go anywhere. We're talking hoops on the other side of this commercial break. Bobcat Breakdown, we'll be right back. Oh, you're still here. Great. Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. It's time to talk some hoops. All they do is win, win, win no matter what. The women's basketball team won its 41st consecutive MAC game this Sunday, extending their current MAC record to 10-0. They did all of this despite not having preseason first-team All-MAC selection Jen Fay. Fellas, will this team lose a game in the MAC? Will, I'll come to you first.
Tell you what, I mean, this women's basketball team, in conference play at least, I compare them a lot to LeBron and Tom Brady in the playoffs. And Aaron, I'm sorry for bringing up Tom Brady. I know you're salty about that Super Bowl. I am too. I'm just trying to prove a point. There's always an outside chance that they can lose, but I'm not going to be the dummy that bets against them and then gets embarrassed. They have not lost a conference game since February 2nd, 2017 against Fairfield. They haven't lost a conference game at home since December 6, 2015. To put that into perspective, Carly Fabry was their second-string point guard as a sophomore. She's now a year removed from graduating. That's how long it's been since they've lost a MAC game at home. And that domination starts with Jen Fay and Erin McClure. I know we mentioned Jen Fay. She has been sitting out the past few games. She's nursing something, but she's going to be back soon. There's two players in this roster who are averaging double-digit points. It's Jen Fay and Erin McClure. There are two players in this roster who are averaging 6 or more assists. It's Jen Fay and Erin McClure. As long as those two are clicking, you can't guard both of them. And if you do, you've got Taylor Hood in the corner. You've got Paula Strotmany in the post. If those two are clicking, then there's no beating this team, and they're going to go on a long run again.
Yeah, you related them to Tom Brady and the Patriots. I'll relate them to the Golden State Warriors. They're easily, by far, the best team in MAC play. It's not even close. They beat second-place Rider 77-56 without Jen Fay.
Right.
So if they beat the second-place team without one of their best players, who are they going to lose to? I'm not going to pick against them. But if they were to lose, it would be against the stretch against Rider and Marist in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, I tell you what, those are always the two teams you circle on the calendar. It's Marist and it's Rider. Marist gave them a close game in the MAC championship last year, and then in the first game this season, they went to Marist and beat them by 7. But I don't see a loss here until March Madness.
Yeah.
Great, man. I mean, this team has been obliterating opponents for longer than I've even been able to spell the word obliterated. I mean, last year their margin of victory in the MAC was a whopping 20.5. Yes, you heard that right. 20.5 points per game. So, Joe, will they be above or below that mark this year?
Well, Aaron, right now they're 27.8. So I'll take the over. They're not falling anywhere below what they are right now.
Yeah, I tell you what, if I was a betting man, Joe, I'm absolutely smashing that over. You said it. Right now they're sitting at 27.8 points per game, winning margin rather, with 10 games to go. I did the calculations. If that number is going to fall under 20.5, they need to average 11.4 point winning margin, which that's a pretty sizable number too. But remember, this is Quinnipiac women's basketball we're talking about. And you also have to look at their remaining schedule. They've got games against Niagara, who they beat by 41, Monmouth, who they beat by 29, Fairfield, who they beat by 45, and Siena, who they beat by 31. You've got 4 teams who you've beaten by 30-plus points, and you don't expect them to go out and beat them by at least 15 or 20 in at least 2 of those 4. I think the odds of them only winning by 11 or 12 points for the next 10 games, averaging that, is slim to none. So I am absolutely hammering that over.
Yeah.
Hey, man, if I was a betting man, I'd smash that over too. But Trisha Fabry's squad is not the only basketball team who picked up a win this Sunday. The men's basketball team also got in the win column this weekend. The team currently sits at 6-4 and is currently in 4th place in the MAC after finishing a little more than half of their season. So guys, will Baker Dunleavy squad have a better back half than the first half of the season that we just witnessed? Will, I'll let you start this one off.
I actually think it's going to be better, and I've got 3 reasons why. They had a really good first half, 6-4 in their first 10, but there's 3 reasons why. The first one is their most difficult games now are coming at home in Iona and Rider. They got both of them at their place. They do go and play Siena and Monmouth on the road, but I think you and I can both agree they're overperforming. Monmouth right now is 2nd place in the conference. Siena's 4th. They may be good, but I don't think they're that good. They're sandwiched right in between a Quinnipiac. So those are tough away games on paper, but I don't think they should be too difficult for Quinnipiac. The second reason is Kevin Marfo is finally healthy again. When he was playing before he got injured, he was one of the best rebounders in the entire MAC conference. He's coming back now. When he's healthy, he gives his Bobcats team something that they lack without him. He adds an extra dynamic to their offense in the paint. And the third reason is that those young players, those first-year players, are finally meshing. Their first 6 games, this Bobcats team averaged about 59 points per game. Their last 6, they've averaged 76 points per game. So you can see that transformation happen as the season progresses. They shoot as many threes as anybody in the country. They currently sit 12th in the country, and they shoot at a 37% clip. So there's no slowing them down. Yeah,
I'm going to say they're going to do better in their second half as well. Their schedule is very doable. They play a lot of bottom teams like Marist, St. Peter's, and Manhattan. They could easily win 5 or more of their last 8 games. They went 6-4 in MAC play in the first half. but they need to find some consistency, obviously. They had the third most points in the MAC, and they've given up the fourth least amount of points in the MAC. They have the second best overall record outside of MAC play, which shows they can duel with the other teams.
Yeah, I agree, guys. I think there are a lot of players on this team who are currently in their first year suiting up for Quinnipiac, and they've all been impressive up to date. But Joe, who has caught your eye the most so far?
I'll go with Tyrese Williams. True freshman. He started every single game this season, averages the third most minutes on the team, plays great defense, second most on the team with 20 steals, and second in assists with 49. He's a playmaker. He's quick. He moves the ball, got great handles. He's my player.
Yeah, Tyrese Williams is a great pick, but I have to go with Kevin Marfo. I mentioned him a couple minutes ago. And the reason I say that, there is no first-year player who necessarily is performing poorly, but Kevin Marfo is the only first-year player who offers something that no other player on this team has. He is an absolute presence in the paint, 6'8", 245. How are you going to box that out? Abdullah Bundu is a great rebounder as well, but there's a big difference between the body compositions there. Kevin Marfo is an absolute tank under the rim. QU's biggest problem entering the season was their size. That's something that we talked about a lot preseason. And Marfo has come out of nowhere seemingly, and before he got hurt, he was the best rebounder in the conference. He's averaging, and this number is correct, I promise. I ran the numbers about 5 times because I didn't believe in myself. He's recorded 13 or more rebounds in 4 games, and on a per 36-minute basis, he's averaging 15.9 rebounds. That's DeMarcus Cousins numbers. That is absurd. And so I think he is, there's 4 really good freshmen, or first-year players rather, on this roster. Kevin Martha, I think, has been the most influential and the most impressive.
Those are both very, very good takes. You know, I think Kevin and Tyrese are both having great seasons. But unfortunately, it's time for another break. But when we return, we'll talk some women's hockey. Stick with us. We'll be right back. The women's ice hockey team welcomed Clarkson in Hamden this weekend. Unfortunately, it was not a very warm welcome, as Clarkson defeated Quinnipiac 3-2. Lucky for us, we have Q30's own women's ice hockey beat reporter Shane Dehaney in the lab to break down the goals from this game. Shane?
The Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team welcomed number 5 Clarkson to Hamden on Friday night, as well as former Bobcat TTCF Toronto. Let's head into the lab to see how they did. Now I'm here in the lab, going to break down some of the key plays from Clarkson and Quinnipiac. Let's take a look at the first play. 15 seconds into this one, Zoe Boyd with the pass to Kenzie Lancaster into the zone. Randy Marcom with a great finish right there in front of the net. Huge start for Quinnipiac. We're going to take a look at this again. Zoe Boyd, tremendous pass deflection, has been a key on the blue line for the Bobcats. Clarkson, defenseman, unlucky right there on the trying to clear that puck. Randy Marcon, she's on top of it. She puts that one into the back of the net. Quinnipiac up 1-0 here in the first period, first 15 seconds. Big start against the number 5 team in the country. Now, Elizabeth Jaguar, huge for Clarkson, and Lauren Gable, another huge piece for Clarkson. Just tremendous speed by Jaguar and Lauren Gable. Quinnipiac defenseman unable to get there Abby Ives probably could have played that puck. Fortunately for Clarkson, it goes all the way through to Lauren Gable, and she puts that one in the back of the net. 1-1 here in the first period for Clarkson and QU. Clarkson showing why they are such a deadly team on the fast break. And then Zoe Boyd right there and Kenzie Prater, getting tangled up right there. Lauren Gable again capitalizing on that one-on-one with Abby Ives. She's hung out to dry. Tremendous finish right there by Lauren Gable. She closes it on 200 career points. And now that's her second of the game. So she's closing in on that hat trick. Hopefully she'll be able to get that. Brooke Bonsteel, a little bit of quiet sophomore year, but she finds Lexi Agia, who scores her 5th of the campaign in front of the net. Clarkson, all game long, really struggling right there, again, to clear the puck in front of the net, and Lexi Agia able to capitalize on that one. Quinnipiac showing tremendous fight to tie this game up 2-2 as we head into the third period now. Quinnipiac, again, getting undone by the speed of the Clarkson Golden Knights. Lauren Gable, again, finishes that one off. Zoe Boyd, a little bit of a tough one right there in transition, as you see. Doesn't really decide to play the puck or the man. A little bit in the middle of nowhere. She doesn't use her stick well to try and get the puck. Abby Ives, too slow to try and close the back door. Lauren Gable, she seals the game for Clarkson and 2 points as she gets her 3rd of the game. And Aaron, that's all I have from the lab today. I'm going to send it back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks a lot, Shane. One player that was not mentioned in that video was TT Cianfrano, a former Quinnipiac Bobcat who spent 2 years here and had quite the decorated career, winning ECAC Hockey Player of the Year and Forward of the Year in her sophomore season. TT is currently 2nd all-time in career goals and 3rd in career points in Quinnipiac history. So guys, where would they be if they had TT on this team? Joe, we'll start with you.
If TT was on this team, they're a surefire playoff team. She led the team in goals 2 years ago. She's super fast, super quick. She had 26 points 2 years ago. And get this, 6 game-winning goals. How crazy of a stat is that? Pairing her with Melissa Samoskevich, Alexi Agia, Taylor House, they'd just be a powerhouse of a team right now.
Tell you what, it's very easy to say if a team will be better or worse without TT Cianfrano. You know what I say? Who cares? Because TT Cianfrano's departure is not the reason this team is sitting on the brisk of a playoff spot. People forget, TT only played 2 games last season. This Bobcat team still went 12-9-1 in conference, still finished 5th in the conference. They've still got Melissa Samoskevich. They've still got Kenzie Lancaster. They've still got Anna Kilpinen. Should I keep going? They still have Kate Tabin. They still have Abby Ives. They still have that core that played so well last season. So TT Cianfrano's departure is not the problem. There are many other things that this team has done poorly than last season. And I don't think you can blame it on TT Cianfrano's departure. I don't think it matters if they'd be better or worse with her this season because she wasn't with them last season. They still played well.
Gotcha. We're going to have a next man up mentality. Man, time is flying. It's time for our last commercial break. But when we return, it's the best part of the show. You'll hear all of our final roars. Don't you dare go anywhere. Bobcat Breakdown will be right back. Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. It's about that time. Final roars are coming your way. Will, start us off.
There's something special going on with Boston sports right now, and it's not their embarrassment of world championships since the turn of the century. It's the annual Bean Pot. The 4-team single elimination tournament captures the eyes of the college hockey world as Boston College, Boston University, Northeastern, and Harvard compete to hoist the trophy. In the spirit of the Bean Pot, and with Quinnipiac Yale coming up this weekend, I got to thinking, what would a Connecticut Bean Pot look like? A 4-team pool of Quinnipiac, Yale, UConn, and Sacred Heart would undoubtedly pique the interest of local fans, and though the odds of it happening are very low, it would draw some much-needed national attention to Connecticut's hockey market.
As former Colts head coach Jim Mora once said, "Playoffs? I hope we could just win a game." That's exactly what the Quinnipiac women's ice hockey team is thinking. Losing 5 of their last 7 games, their biggest matchup comes against Yale this Friday. The Bobcats and the Bulldogs are tied for the 8th seed, If both teams, however, end the season with the same conference record, the number one tiebreaker is head-to-head matchups. Even though Quinnipiac did beat Yale earlier this season, this could not be any more of a must-win game for the Bobcats. If they win, they'll have sole possession of the 8th spot. If they lose, they'll get bumped out of the playoff picture. If you didn't get a ticket to the men's Yale's game for Friday, you can travel 10 minutes down the road to Yale and go support the women. It'll be a great game between two bitter rivals fighting to play beyond the regular season.
The Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team made trips to the Frozen Four in 2013 and 2016. It is now 2019, and this senior class has an opportunity to be just the second class in school history to reach 2 Frozen Fours. Chase Prisky, Scott Davidson, and Craig Martin all saw ice time in that 2016 Frozen Four. It's now 2019, and these seniors have the Bobcats in position to make yet another run at the Frozen Fours. The Bobcats currently sit at number 4 in both national polls, but are 3rd in the pairwise rankings, and are in the driver's seat to be a number 1 seed in the upcoming NCAA tournament. But this senior class might have one of the best chances yet to actually bring home the hardware. If they can accomplish that, this senior class will permanently etch their name into Quinnipiac history. Man, time sure does fly when you're having fun. I know I did, and this definitely made me feel better after that Boston team won another Super Bowl on Sunday. Anyways, for more information on Quinnipiac sports, follow us on Twitter at Q30Sports. Check out our websites, Q30TV.com and VQBSN.com. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Q30 Television. And thanks for all the support. And that's all the time we have for tonight. I'm Aaron Robinson for Joe LaGrippo and Will Fowler. Have a great week.